SirHIGH. If you don't smoke like me, bong hits, take a toke with me, or I'ma call you lightweight. Wake when the sun comes up, then we drink till we're throwing up. I never grow up. How long will I keep getting high? It's the way I wanna die. How long till you're rolling up? Cause I can't wait, no lightweight.
Marijuana getting in here right now. Welcome in. Let's go. Welcome in. Trying to put it all together. It's a Monday. We here. Welcome into the morning wood. Let's roll the blunts. I believe we are ready for today. What is going down? We got Matt in here, X. We've got Maui. Jason, what's going down? What are we smoking? Let me know what we're smoking over here. I'm trying to knock out 2 birds, 1 stone. Important that I do this. Let me get this all together real quick because I don't like when it's not together. You're going to tell me what you're smoking anyways over here, and it's all going to work out just like that. Just like that. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. All right, so what's up? What are we doing? Big Dog Talk. What up, Growing Pains in the building? That's right. HyTeK joining today. Gonna have a conversation about what is going down in Michigan. Obviously, lots going down in Michigan coming up in a couple weeks. We'll talk about the Bring Your Best competition going on. Top of it to you too, Rhino. What's up? Troy in the building. Sup, gang? Growing Pains. We figuring out. Oh, fingering, huh? Damn, wow. Getting crazy. What's to enter the Billies? Oh, you side by side, and then you side by side right now. He said hot tamales, sangria, or lemon. If you had to guess right now, without side by siding them, right? Let's find out. Would you have guessed it right? Do you do that? Where you smell them up? I think I did this one, right? This would be the one based off smell and nose. And then you do a side by side and you're like, nah, my nose don't know shit. Marijuana. Let's get it. Let me take some water in here, man. It's been a motherfucking week. Love that weed. Love that weed. Let's break some up and talk about it. I'm going to break up right now. What up, Smoke Dog? I'm going to break up some of this Medusa over here. Dark Matter versus Versace, huh? Let's get it. I believe we got guests waiting, so let's jump right into it. Let's jump right in. Let's make sure the computer's working over here. You know how it is. Technology always loves to throw us some curveballs. Bob Marley smoking on some blue nerds. Did you grow it? Did you grow it? Did someone grow it for you? Who grew it? Let's talk about it. Throbbing for Rosin in the building. What's going down? Stay hydrated is right. Here we go. Can you hear me? Check. Can you guys hear me out there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, nice. We can hear you guys. All right, we're going to get right into this right now then. We're right in here. Welcome in. Oh, whoa. Let's get the name right over here. Let's get the logo right. Boom.
Boom.
All right, you guys are live in here. What's going down?
What's up, Jason? How are you?
Good, man. Just out here enjoying the world of cannabis. It never fails to provide, I feel like. We had a fucking fire weekend over, everything going down. How was your weekend?
Yeah, dude, pretty. We had some events here in Michigan. We had the Growers Gala, a nice event that went down here on Saturday. And then, of course, always stuff happening, in the streets and everything else. So, yeah, very, very similar to what we're seeing out there on a national scale, too. Yeah.
That was one of the things I was going to talk about, too, is like, when we saw what was going on, obviously with what JBZ and Surefire popped out with the cuts or not the cut, but the pollen. I was curious because I knew I was coming up and talking to you today, and I was love to have the insight kind of on, someone like yourself who's been in the game for so long. Is this something that's common? Or is this like we're seeing a new wave?
Yeah, real quick, let me introduce, obviously I'm Chocolate, I'm the owner of HyTeK, but this is Tyler. This is the man behind the scenes, who's also, running the place. And, I wanted to bring him on here.
Fire.
And he has an interesting take. He actually ran retail with us for a long time. He's done a lot of different things in the industry, so it's always a good perspective to get. But we got a big team here doing a lot of things, and I'm not the only guy that's good on the mic and with hot takes too. So
heyo, nice, Tyler.
Out here too. Yeah,
appreciate you popping on, my dude. How you doing this morning?
Good, bro. Good, thank you.
Yeah, definitely want to talk to you about some of this retail stuff going on for sure, because that's some of my interest is definitely that side and just all of it really. So to have you both on today is dope, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So so with something like that pops off, when it goes around there, is this something that you already know about? And that's, do you have a certain approach when it comes to getting genetics from different breeders? Or, can you give us a little bit of insight from someone in your position when you saw that unfold, what you thought?
I'm not even quite sure what unfolded. Do we know, like, is everyone clear on what happened? Like, I kind of get what happened, but like, can you give us a quick breakdown on what actually happened? Like what from your
Yeah, from my perspective, there was some pollen gifted or either purchased or gifted. That's the details that I'm waiting to find out from SirHIGH purchasing from JBZ. And then JBZ actually giving him not giraffe pussy, but something that he bred, won't release the genetics at this point. And the reason that he did it was because he had heard SirHIGH was, still in cuts and things like this. So he didn't trust him to begin with type energy. So he wanted to like the to SirHIGH still in cuts. It was just a weird situation. So yeah, basically though, JBZ supplying SirHIGH with a unknown pollen and telling them that it's giraffe pussy when it wasn't.
Well, I mean, I don't know SirHIGH. I do know Seed Junkie. He's here in Michigan. I think what comes around goes around the industry. I don't know what transpired between allegedly, like even the Cushington and the Lemon Up and everything that I've heard about. So I can't speak for any of these people, but from my standpoint, like, and the breeders are a different type of people too, how they move and how they want respected. And, we, haven't bred yet per se with HyTeK. We are popping through seeds and stuff, but, you get a bunch of different answers from breeders and how they want you to handle their cuts or, what's right, what's wrong, where you got it from, what you can do with it, and it's just respect. So I think a lot of the issue is either people like not being respectful or like following the wishes of wherever they got it from. But at the same time, like, we won, I know it's a little off topic, but we won the Olympics last year with Lance out here, from Ridgeline, shout out Jason and his whole team up there, great, nice. Great breeder, great business up there. But that wasn't our cut. We were very clear from the beginning. It's not ours. How we acquired that. Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah. I should fix my mic.
Okay.
Apologize.
How we acquired that was probably not, it's the normal way to get stuff. And obviously, like, he had a licensing deal out here with Cookies somehow, some way, I believe. Obviously Cookies is here kind of. I don't know what side of Cookies is left here. I don't know. I don't think they have any cultivation. I don't know, but, trying to be respectful of his team and what he's done, but also like, trying to run, we get gear gifted to us and stuff. And it's like, do you call it something different and not respect the breeder and the brand, or do you call it its name? Like, and there's levels to that, right? Like if I call it Lance, is it good or bad? Is it cool to have a name but put the genetics on it and call it something different because it's your spin on the flavor? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's like fine line. I mean, I personally think, it's good to just, call stuff what it is, give credit to where it's due, and respect to the guys putting in the work that are creating these things,
It's one of those things where I feel like that is the traditional method, right? Like you give credit to where the work was put in and where it's been almost now this shift of where I'm seeing where maybe not obviously certain people who are making that shift are going to preach this, but they're saying, hey, like, I'm putting my spin on this, as you mentioned, and I wanted to represent from my facility, but But again, it's like, you're putting your spin on something that isn't what you created. And unless it's done, I believe that you should, if you're going to recreate the name and you're going to put your spin on it, there should still be some sort of acknowledgement of who bred it. You know what I mean? You can still do that. So
I don't know on the upper echelon of breeders, obviously SirHIGH has done some great work. Seed Junkie, a legend, obviously there's a double standard though in the industry, and there's people at different levels trying to understand it, right? Like some guys are like, I rename and it's okay for you to rename, but if this brand renames, all of a sudden it's a problem. So it's like
wild.
It's a double standard.
It is. It feels like that. It
so I don't think there's one right answer, but at the end of the day, I think it's all based around respect and being honest. And I don't, like I said, I don't know SirHIGH. Like, I've never spoke with the man. I respect what he's done, I don't know if he's, slimy or grimy or whatever Seed Junkie did what he did. I know everyone that I've tried to come in touch with, in spaces have done me well from what I can tell. And I hope they can say the same for me. But I've also, I don't know the situation, what led up to it. Like, well, what was the, the agreement with said plant that homie got somehow, like, who knows, but like to give someone the wrong thing, I guess that's on you to, if homie asks for something and you're like, yeah, and you knowingly do it, are you doing something wrong? Or are you like looking out for the first homie? I don't, see, there's so many layers to it, but
and I think that's where you asked at the beginning is kind of like, what is the full story though, right? Because like you said, that who knows what there was prior with Cushington and whatnot. So I just thought it was kind of random too, where
I like how Seed Junkie spoke up because like, okay, he did it. He obviously owned it. It's not like someone came out and was like, he did this to him. I was there. He was like, no, I did this.
I did it.
Like,
it was a while to me. It was like, damn, you planted something crazy in there. Like, holy shit, man. Well, fuck, man. I appreciate you chopping it up. Obviously, that was a big deal over the weekend. Lots of people talking about it and whatnot. And with your experience, it's nice to hear kind of where you guys were feeling about that. Well, let's talk about PSL, man. You guys got a big, debut in the PSL. Not in the debut in the PSL, but in the high rollers. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be your first time entering in a $10,000 bracket. You guys were you sweating on making the decision, or what was that process like?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, it wasn't even on my radar, to be honest with you. I mean, this batch that we put in, we found this pheno in-house last fall from seed, never even re-ran it again as a clone or anything, literally just went in on it. And this is the first run of it, and it came out slapping, just like one of those ones that worked good the first time.
Damn, that's tight.
But it's crazy though. It's like, it's very different, I don't think a lot of modern day smokers are used to sour and them older style type genetics, so this is a little out of the normal realm. So that was a little nerve-wracking when Bill's like, bro, I just walked in the vault and it smells insane, we're entering this, and I'm just like, I don't even think
smoked it.
We smoked
nice.
it. I mean, it was it's another one of those like older genetics. It's super greasy, takes forever to dry and cure well, and it's like, we're basically going to send this thing out the week that I'm still working at it. So I really wasn't feeling super confident, but it was like, it's smoking, it tastes crazy. It seems like it should stand up, and yeah, we just went for it,
And you mentioned it at the event. What was the name of the strain again?
Sour Melons. So it's actually a Karma genetic that I think I got off him at the last at the Berlin what's it called? What was I out there? Mary Jane Berlin last year.
Fire. Damn, how was that event?
It was eye-opening. It was the first time I've actually gone international, just in general, like as a person. So like that was a big thing. I was out there with First Smoke Lance, so that was fun. He's there. So I had a nice little, entry into the show, I guess you could say. And it was cool to see the excitement in, the European market. And, it's like probably like California, the early like 2000s, Michigan, like 2010-ish, there's a lot of hope. And like culture, like kind of growing and like excitement, it's not like, we're beat down and everyone's dead and MSOs are, taking everyone's money or whatever whatever people say. But it was cool, man. It was a big event. There was a lot of stuff going on there. It was cool to see a whole different version of weed in the world and like what they think, they're all like, you know, like you tell them to run an Athena with cocoa and you act like you just spit in their face, you know, they're into soil and like health and like,
Organics.
Really?
yeah,
Holy
at
shit.
least the boys we were with, you know, we talked to a lot of growers, home growers out there, and like a lot of people in general. And, you know, obviously I'm not speaking for all of Germany, but they, you know, they're young, you know, so they're still, you know, different mindsets, you know, and I told them to go check out the Athena booth, and they were looking at me like I was crazy, you know. And I'm like, all right,
Damn.
you know, so
Well, how much did you feel while you were out there, does the US influence that market and that culture out there? Like was our genetics heavily out there?
oh yeah, Scott and, you know, Doja and Karma and everyone had lines every morning. You know, I think they sold out like day one, a lot of them, or, you know, had different drops for certain days. Yeah, heavy influence. I mean, you know, California influences the world, right? There's no denying that. You know, Michigan's catching up, I think, with respect as far as smokability, but I still think most of the genetics coming out into the markets, at least the ones that are creating waves, are coming out of the West Coast. You know, where the breeders have been at it for a long time. You know, Michigan's starting to understand that we got to create our own waves, and, you know, we've also understood that too. Just turning on a new 60 light pheno hunt facility / breeding
Woo!
facility.
There we
Yeah,
go. Let's get the air horns for that
you
one.
know, you can't, you know, how many times can you re-rock something, you know? And it's like, if you want to build some respect, you got to do some of your own work, you know?
Okay.
So,
Nice,
you
man. I
know,
like to hear that. Is there a certain like collaborations when you are going to be presenting something and creating new waves, or is it something like you guys said you got a lot of seeds, or you just like pop and like what is the process for going out there and creating something that you know you yourself is your baby?
well, I'll speak first. I mean, there's levels to this too, right? I mean, if you have certain breeders, if you're just reversing, you know, you're a piece of shit, right? If you're not working a male line, you know, but like, you know, I understand the thought behind both ways, and we're down to do both ways, but we also know that we have to, you know, this facility costs money to run. I have to find stuff. The natural fastest way is to pop seeds, right? And then the next fastest thing is to reverse something to all of your other keepers and see what you can get. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but like in the market today, the consumer, you know, they say, oh, candy's dead, or, you know, there's once again multiple levels to these conversations,
Woo!
but the consumer just wants different candies, right?
Right.
So that, well, like you're not going to find something new if you're just reversing, but you're going to find something different enough to meet the rec market consumer. Like, I don't think you're going to come up to a proper smoke and like blow someone's doors off, you know, Adam or Paul's with a candy derivative. But, you know, I mean, look at Chris Ball with his Trop Cookie Cross, you know, it's smoking, it's performing. So,
Facts.
but there's still two markets, you know, you'll hear
Yeah.
Adam always talk about the head stash, you know, I'd smoke this in my head stash, but this is performing for the proper smoke. So there's different lanes, and, you know, we're a HyTeK, we're a rec brand out here. So we have to be, you know, understanding of like, we have a consumer that, you know, people say, oh, I want something different than candy, but, you know, the rec consumer, they're just finding out like the Lance here in Michigan, it's just getting big enough with other brands running it and it getting a big name. I think, you know, next summer, not even this summer, Lance will hit its peak in Michigan, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, right? And that's kind of I appreciate you bringing this up too because you know, you guys are looking at it from a recreational standpoint. You have the ability to get out there and sell to the masses out there in Michigan. And I've noticed that it is a different type of crowd in a sense. They're not out there always you know, looking for the best thing smoking. It's the best thing smoking at a certain price that I can afford, right? And so, you know, with you guys you know, talking about that, it seems that candies are, you know, still highly in demand. And where I feel like is it's almost a comparison to where back in the day music would slowly make its way out to like, you know, other states from Cali or whatnot. I'm looking at it like, yeah, weed, when we start smoking it, it's going to be about maybe 6 to 9 months until it starts getting into the commercial world. And then you can almost look for a year, like you said, with Lance, where you see a lot of connoisseurs blowing down Lance, very much so talking about it being phenomenal. And for you to say that it's going to peak next year, wow, right?
In Michigan though, but you keep in mind, like Cali's over the Lance wave. It never, I mean, in respect to Ridgeline, like I'm speaking on my perspective on it. Like it was like talking to guys out there, they're like, oh yeah, that's that depth strain, that comes off the hill, it's work pack, it didn't really seem to catch anyone. Like it didn't seem to create the wave that it caught Michigan. And like, it's just getting there, but I think it maybe it could have done differently. Maybe it did do differently in California. I don't know, because I'm just plugged into the proper smoke side of things. And like, I think there's probably a whole market in California outside of LA that like, I've never experienced, or Santa Rosa, or like wherever I go for what I'm doing, that is an everyday consumer. But, for us, it kind of smacked Michigan right in the face, and they were like, this is the best thing since, candy's come out here. And it is a candy in a way, right? But, I think but still, even in the trap here, traditionally, like it hasn't took to the lance the way you would think it would. You can still allegedly move, pink runs for more than Lance, so that's just crazy, right?
Yeah,
but
that doesn't sound right at this point.
Yeah, so
wild.
Yeah.
All right, well, nice. I mean, do you guys find, in Michigan, do you have a lot of the, player? How long have you guys been? How long have you guys been growing weed? Prior to being able to go onto the rec side, how long has that been a process for you guys?
Yeah, I started in 2012. I used a couple years before that, right?
Yeah, about 09, 2010.
Yeah.
Nice. So over a decade on your guys' belt. It was something
that was the caregiver market here.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what I was going to ask. Like, how is it in Michigan? We were able to talk to Exotic Matter, and they were saying how a lot of the, caregivers market, some of them have been able to now get the license. And so that's where he was mentioning that you can see connoisseur grade cannabis now getting into your guys' rec world. And what would you contribute that to? Would it be that caregivers are finding their lane in there, or something different?
I mean, I don't know. Me personally, I think it's just every year it seems like what we consider fire weed just keeps changing, and like that group of that product that's out there, it's just getting smaller and smaller of a group. You know what I mean? Like what I thought was fire last year, this year, that it's not quite there. 2 years ago. So it's like every year it keeps elevating. For us that are trying to grow the super fire weed, we just have to keep figuring out how to get better and better and better at it. So then the weed just keeps getting better,
And then I'd agree, but I think it's even like to scale it back to why it's like we have Arroyo sensors, things are simplified, there's no more like there is secrets, like not all weed's the same. We know that, right? But attention to detail, who's running your facility, how well do your retail partners present your product? Are their stores hot? Is it under bright lights? Like for a consumer to go get what we would consider a fire bag in Michigan, the stars have to align. And that includes like, is your transport company have climatized trucks? Like we focus on all that, versus like a traditional trap brand, gets 10 elbows, breaks them in the quarters, ships them to their 3 main cities, does that all in 4 days. I'm not saying there's not logistics issues, but like, there's just the regulatory hurdles, that testing, transport, sitting on shelves, can the store move good weed? There's so many questions, like, so there's a lot to it, but I think really growing as a whole, it's becoming the information. I mean, like, these companies that are producing under canopy light, salts, nutrients, everything that's just so that the information's out there. So to get plugged in to be a decent grower, even if you don't know nothing, can probably happen so quickly, now if you like to do it, but you still got to love it. You still got to understand it, smoke it, tweak it. It's not ever easy to be the 10 out of 10 batch if that's a thing. Mm-hmm. But I think now to get to a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, with all the help of technology and LEDs and everything else, and just how quick a market matures, like, I think that's helping, but also not helping, depending on what side of coin you're on, get our market to like a standard, like, okay, this is the standard now of a $900, $600 indoor pack, and there's no more smalls anymore, shout out Faven with the under canopies, so.
Hey, nice. There we go, Faven. Yeah. Changing the smalls market. Basically removing it.
I mean, I think in a year or two, if you don't have under canopy, unless you're getting some outrageous amount for your packs, like you're not in business,
Wow, holy shit. Yeah. It's like that.
I mean, yeah, if you're competing, I mean, like if you're like trying to run a legit business, I mean, there's different levels to business, all respect to what level you're on. If you got 4 lights in the basement and you're producing fire and you got your local crew taking up your packs, God bless you. If you got 300 lights, 1,000 lights in a trap and you got your, whatever you're doing, bless you. If you're in the rec market and you got your stores and whatever you're doing, you know, it's whatever, like there's a million ways to skin this cat. But traditionally, I think we're all seeing the doors kind of close on the trap a little bit. And there's going to be people in this chat saying otherwise, you know, but, you know, it's just how you want to, how you're going to like, you know, how you want to position yourself and what you're trying to do. And like, you know, we're trying to move, I guess, out of the shadows into the light of these legal markets. And it's a whole nother ballgame. You know, you got to be able to move your product off the shelf, which traditionally is a price point that is palatable. So, you know, but then consumers think, you know, more expensive maybe is better. So then, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in that equation.
Yeah, it's like unprecedented times, right? Tyler, go ahead. My apologies.
I would say our industry's tough too, you know, 'cause it's like we're one of those where it's like every year it costs more to produce, arguably, you know, whether it's energy costs or transportation costs, whatever, everything tends to go up. But the prices stay the same, you know, on the retail or the wholesale side, or even go down, you know. So it's like you got to keep figuring out how to get more and more efficient. You know, how can I grow super fire weed and hit, you know, really good yields at the same time.
Yeah, you guys even had a recent change in your Michigan laws, right? Where they included now a wholesale tax on cannabis. Can you guys kind of break that down? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, it kind of came out of left field. They rammed it through the local government, you know, the state government quickly in the night, really.
Wow.
They claim to have a deficit in the road budget, and that's where it's going. You know, I've heard there's a slush fund with more money than we know what to do in it. You know, you hear all these rumors, but at the end of the day, we have a 24% wholesale tax that we put on us on the first of the year. There's some different wiggle room to get around some of that tax per se. Like there is a state minimum, which is about $150 this quarter per pound, that if you can, you know, vertically get it to retail, that you can wholesale out of your retail and pay that price versus 25% of say a $2,000 pack would be, you know what, 500.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but realistically overnight, we all took a second, third business partner, you know, and our roads are
crazy.
So it's not even like there's going to be a difference, you know, but there's lawsuits in the works. You know, some things were done potentially unconstitutional or unfair advantages to certain businesses. There's a lot of arguments brewing right now against the state. So, you know, those are being fought, but it's going to take a year to figure out. And then, you know, even so, like, what if you're one of the good guys paying your taxes? And obviously, you know, we got guys that aren't going to pay the taxes, but are still producing, still have metric tags that they can fill. Like, okay, like you're trying to do the right thing, operate, but you got guys out here doing the other thing. And like, listen, once again, like, it don't matter to me, but when you're in a competitive business mind, I don't think the retailer is going to care whether they're buying candies from someone paying their taxes or not. So then how do you know, you can't sustain, like it's a very slippery slope everywhere.
Yeah, it seems like it all across the board that, you know, they're having a hard time regulate the laws that they put out. You know, they don't have the budget to do it. And so therefore, you have a lot of just, you know, they like to say bad actors, you know, doing things that, you know, will make the entire market look, you know, bad. I think that's a wild tax, though, especially on the percentage of the cost. And it's like, instead of just like a flat rate, it to me, and I, you know, ask this question to you guys, like, you know, in Arizona, we are limited licensing, and we've seen the MSOs do whatever they can to squeeze out, you know, small facilities. When I first heard about this, it almost made me feel like this was some sort of squeeze for the dispensary owners, but it's probably not like that in Michigan. Do you guys, anybody can go get a license, a retail license in Michigan, right? It's open market.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very low entry to barrier type market now. When we got in, we were denied actually on our first go around, so we had to appeal and go in front of this board that's no longer in place. They were disbanded because they got caught taking bribes, but we had to go. Yeah. So we went through that board, got denied the first go around. We were actually the last person approved on the appeal docket of their last hearing, so that was kind of cool, you know, to get through them, but that was a risk because if we would have went and got denied, there was no reapplying, but I didn't want to wait, you know, so we went and got approved. But yes, like ultimately is a consolidation effort, right? You know, ultimately you're going to have to be a better business operator to run. So, you know, now whether they did that intentionally or that's just a byproduct of the tax, it is what it is. But I think as our regulatory agencies out there, you know, they understand if I can push out a third of the licenses cultivating, or, it doesn't really affect the retailer because, we're not levying it on the end consumer. So like technically it's between the wholesale and the processors, which are like a distro, or the wholesale and the store. But ultimately the store has the power because we got to get on their shelves, So
squeezing profits.
Everyone thought like, oh, we're going to push this onto the consumer. Like, no, I mean, like they're used to paying certain tickets up here. You can't just raise your top shelf $10 an eighth. Like they're not,
for that reason, they would be like, no, you got, a lot of people assume that once you make it into the marijuana industry, you're fucking booming, right? It's like the misconception.
Everybody thinks that we're all rich,
Yeah.
Again, at 24%, I mean, that crushes a lot of people. There's a lot ain't working on that kind of a margin,
Yeah, no, I know. So yeah, when you talk about being able to, figure out, tighten it up, and in technology, obviously you brought that up, giving shouts out to Faven, who's helped, produce, lesser smalls and now things that can go into A's and whatnot. How has technology, in a sense, really, helped you? And do you think that it's still, where we're still, seeing different approaches because of technology? And in the sense of like the old school methods, because you hear people brag about this weed 20 years ago, but I just feel like we got to have better weed from 20 years ago, and growing it has to play a part in that. So has technology hurt, or has it made, better weed than in the 90s?
I mean, I'd argue better weed. I mean, I think what I remember, I mean, I'm an older dude, so I mean, I remember smoking the old OGs and the sours and stuff, and it's like this new one, this Fresca melons. It's like, or the sour melons. It gives you a high that's different than modern genetics, So I think a lot of times I remember getting really, really fucked up on some, some sour or something that you just don't get that vibe anymore. But I mean, as far as like quality and smokability, I mean, I don't know, I mean, I'm a better roller, better grinder. I understand more stuff on a connoisseur level than I would have back then. So it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, I feel like tech has definitely made it easier to grow fire weed, and especially at scale. I mean, I came up in the basement, just a 4-lighter. I didn't need tech back then. I could touch everything every day a lot, but, we got 400 lights spread over 11 rooms. I think without monitoring equipment, like, Arroyo, we use Arroyo there. Obviously, the environmental monitoring. You couldn't have a big enough team that was enough dialed in to be able to do the same thing as you can on a small scale with 4 lights. You know what I mean? So the tech comes in is you just have eyes and ears, in places that can really help you out, stay dialed in.
I love that. Growing Pains in the chat, though. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate you kicking it over here.
Yeah, he's up here too.
Hey, you know what? I feel like you guys have a really good like camaraderie out there in Michigan. Can you speak on what it's like, collaborating at the top, from what it appears like, from the nation looking outside on Michigan right now? You guys have building teams and stuff like that. I know there's a competition coming up, Bring Your Best. Can you talk about, Michigan and the camaraderie that we're, out there right now?
Yeah. So I think, I made a lot of, friends out West and whatever. I think we get compared to Sacramento a lot. They got a big grow culture up there, obviously got their retailers. A lot of things have come out of Sacramento and are still coming, to change the face of weed around the world. And I think Detroit, we were able to all kind of cultivate together, go to the same hydro stores, build that bond, sell our medicine to the same people, back in the day, all that. Yeah. So like, our overages, so even the same guys who own retail now own retail then, so it's just like, it's kind of like, it's like going to high school and you knew everyone in elementary, middle school, and now you're all in one high school, so yeah. We all work together. I mean, I don't think there's any one brand really, dominating Michigan. I mean, we all get our little spikes of love, and, I think there's more consistent guys potentially, but everyone brings their own little spice to the pot of chili, and we all don't, it's such a big market here. I mean, we're a $3 billion a year market as of last year. Yeah. So, I mean, we got the borders raging, we got a lot of stuff leaving the state, and like, good weed's always going to sell. So I think, all the guys who are, in these proper smoke leagues or whatever size they are, 100, 400 lights seems to be like that sweet spot in Michigan before you start to see like potentially some quality drop off. We all don't have enough to feed these stores. So it's like, we're not directly in competition, but we are, but okay. day, we all understand like the pack talks, you know, the
Yeah.
customers pick, you know, whatever, you know, what they want to purchase with their money. And like, okay, me disagreeing with someone or not liking a brand and they got motion, like God bless them. What's that going to do, you know?
Actually, I see that all the time. Like, it doesn't seem like successful people hate. So it's the ones that are out there collaborating at the top, trying to build, trying to push the scene. You know, because I mean, I think that, you know, even as commercial or weed is commercialized and whatnot, the ones that are passionate about it are the ones that, like, you know, I feel like are the ones that should have the loudest voices. You know, commercial cannabis is interesting. We're seeing now reschedule. You know, reschedule 3. Is that something that you guys plan on applying and getting that DEA license?
That's crazy. I was just talking about that this morning with Growing Pains, actually. And I don't know if you've seen the application, but there's some very touchy questions on there, you know, to what you got to say yes to. And
Ooh, I actually have no idea. If you mind kind of gaming us out?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've had one conversation about these questions and like, I could be wrong, but allegedly, like, have you ever sold, you know, marijuana outside of a legal market? You know, really very like, what's this answer? Like, you know, like, hold on, I might want a lawyer, you know, I'm going to plead the, you know, the fifth or whatever. So I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, you know, what's the percentage of med you're selling versus rec? Like, okay, are you opening yourself up to a federal audit? You know, I don't know. So, you know, like I think lawyers are wrapping their heads around it here locally. So I'm definitely going to be on it this week trying to figure out, you know, like, can we export? Like, okay, the federal government says we can potentially, but what if Michigan's like, no, you know, I don't know, you know, so is export even the answer at our size? Like, is there like, yes, I do want to spread the brand, but I'm not against it, but where am I going to, like, you know, they kind of say conquer your own backyard. Like, you know, we're doing really well in Michigan, but maybe Ohio's a natural step, maybe New York, maybe California. Like, you know, yes, I think everyone's jumping to Europe and skipping these other states, but like your team has to be ready to go out there, you know, and represent it. And, you know, I'm not against, you know, finding a UK, you know, brand rep and stuff, but like, you know, you got to be, you know, you can't be scared, but you also got to be realistic with what you can do, you know, and
I respect that.
You know, so we're working through it. I don't know exactly what that means for Michigan or us operators as far as what the feds are doing, because we're a fully rec state. I dropped all my med licenses, you know.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so we have med, but like the consumer, because of our price point, like, yes, you can save the 10%, you know, excise tax on your purchase, but there's so much better variety and quality. Yes, there's a different testing standard. I think it's like 100,000 CFUs versus 10,000. So if you're immunocompromised, maybe med's where you stay as a consumer, but there's not a lot of people producing it. So the freshness and and like the selection isn't always there on the med side. There's a couple of really good retail operators still running very strong med programs. You can still caregive in Michigan. Those boys are still getting down.
Fire.
But as far as like, you know, business wise on a rec side, like it's a hard thing because, you know, you can put it on your shelf and it might just age out over there. Yes, you can move it to rec, but like, you know, we're always down to support the med customer as well, you know, but, you know, we have a lot more support in rec, you know, than we do med. So where a state like Oklahoma or something that's med only, like they might really be able to like pick up some traction that they don't have, you know, locally. So I don't know.
Wow. It's got to be a big decision, right? I mean, look, you guys, you have 60 days to decide if you're going to apply for this license, right? I mean, it's like, damn, I appreciate you bringing that to our points where it's like, they want you to like answer damn near almost incriminating information. You know what I mean? Like what the fuck?
It's like, you know, like there's, you know, way bigger players than us that are behind this push that are going to benefit and they're probably going to be ready for whatever rolls out, you know? So yeah, you almost feel like you're walking into a trap kind of a little bit.
I don't even know if this med's going to play out the way we think. Cause I mean, I think if you're like, man, when I get home after work and I have 2 beers and it like de-stresses me, I don't think your doctor's ever going to prescribe you 2 Budweisers for your you know, your blood pressure, but like give you a medicine that was created that people could argue is good or bad for you or whatever. But I don't think we're going to see like a doctor prescribe you to go smoke some sour melons because, you know, you have, you know, anxiety, maybe, like, I don't know. Like, I just think the med's going to really open up the the research for it, the universities to research it, to create products on the med side that actually are, you know, either extracted or
pills and
liquids, patches, that really find what is the medical benefits of these terpenes and you know, cannabinoids, and how can they extract them in a way to like get them to fight cancer without having to smoke. So I don't think there's going to be a doctor that's like, yeah, go smoke some weed.
You're right.
You know, it's good. Or go dab some BHO, you know.
No, that's what's thinking. I mean, the FDA being behind this, you know, it's like they're gonna have to change how they treat this stuff, because nothing else they do is treated this way, you know. If they're gonna allow, you know, promote it or whatever.
Right now, being able to talk to you guys about this, man, I really appreciate the insight. It's such a wild place to be, and I could only imagine, you know, after all of this work, all of a sudden now they just flipped the table in a sense and said, well, you know, what I feel like as a casual, I would look at it and say, well, fuck, is this where, you know, we're going to see it become standardized, and like this is the opportunity to get in with these like these big players that are going to introduce it, that are going to be in it. And what will, after this 60 days, what will it look like applying then? Because now they've talked about it's automatic, you know, it's no, as long as you got attached to a license, it's automatic. And it's like, okay, what does that mean afterwards? And why so quick? Why 60 days when they don't even have it figured out?
Yeah, I don't know what automatic, because it's like the federal government, so nothing's going to move fast, and that's good and bad, right? Because it's like, no matter what the federal government says, our state released a bulletin a week or two ago, basically saying we're aware of the rescheduling, and this is our regulatory agency, the CRA.
Okay,
was like, you know, we have to digest this, we have to understand it. We'll get back to you, but I don't know, just because the federal government says you can do something, I think even in the alcohol world, like if you're making beer in a certain state, I think your state still has to, like, you have to follow the rules of whatever state you're shipping to. I believe you have to get in their liquor book. Like you have to, like, you know, I don't think like just because you like, and I'm just speaking on like liquor and really speaking for something I don't know, but like just because you make vodka or beer somewhere doesn't mean you can just ship it somewhere, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate it too. It's like the insight that I really appreciate is just because it's like so new and so fresh. Tyler, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
You know, I think, you know, just because they say, oh, this is going to be this and that, like, I don't know, because technically right now in Michigan, if you're a med patient, you're going to save 10% at a store, but we don't have a line of people getting their med cards. They're okay with all paying more. So
right.
Interesting to see, like, med's really not prevalent here. And I say that, you know, because rec is so big, obviously I think there still should be a huge emphasis on med product for those people. And those caregivers are out there. But like, as far as the consumer, like, you know, I think there's probably a bigger med Cali market almost, you know, obviously there's more people, but, you know, and a lot of our people, a lot of that 3 billion comes from out of state. So they're not dragging med cards up here from whatever state they're in, you know, fucking wherever. But it'll be interesting. You know,
a trip, right? Yeah. And I've seen like brought up like in a sense, like now that it's going to be federally legal, like all of a sudden all these like, you know, oh, you can't smoke weed in your house because it's federally illegal goes away. Right. And so like there's so many levels that this is going to unlock, man, that we're just going to.
Good and bad, right? It's like, just like anything, people want to make weed legal because they want to smoke it everywhere. But with that comes a very, you know, tough market condition. You know, the more people that can do it, you know, just because you loved it first doesn't mean that it's going to be easier on you. There's more people in the arena, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's, everything's always a double-edged sword, you know, with anything. So I think, we'll see. I mean, we're here to ride it out and figure it out. But by no means do we have some grand plan. We'd love to be in potentially other states or other countries representing what we do, letting people smoke it. But, you know, you know, we're just us doing us, you know, there's no, you know, there's no hidden crazy investors or whatever. So we'll get out there. I'll talk to the lawyers. This dude will be holding the grow down, and we'll figure out and vote really like, okay, what are we going to do here? You know, but it'll be interesting.
Right now, talking over here to Chocolate Tyler over here, HyTeK Detroit, doing your thing. And when we were talking, Chocolate, you mentioned that you wanted to talk, man. I want to make sure you've been dope answering all the questions I got for you, throwing your way. Is there anything out there about cannabis that, you know, you just want to talk about? You just want to like get this out there? Anything that, you know, because you're in it, man. You've been watching the caregivers. Now you're licensed and you're seeing all this go on. Like, What are your thoughts on cannabis currently?
Man, I think, if you're looking at this from the lane that we've came from and the lane that we're in currently, it's like, what's going to happen to the traps? Well, I mean, we're all, in some way connected to that, originally, from that, that's kind of the bread and butter of like, the brand identities.
Wow.
How many brand bios have you seen born in the illegal markets and moved to the, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, like that's cool. But like, what is how these brands, how we're positioned and how we market. Like before it was like, hey, you had your guys, and it's still very much like there's still a lot of very small batch stuff that goes around in the shadows that smokes and it's hard to get. And these guys have the motion in certain towns, but like the pressure I think is really building from these bigger grows that are 1,000 lighters putting out better work than a 4 lighter now. So
Yeah.
what you get these guys that say, oh, craft is this, craft is that, but with the technology, and like you said, you're starting to see the guys that can run a business and understand the culture, cultivation, marketing, everything else. And it's like, how many, I think we're seeing, I mean, I don't know, I speak for Michigan because I get out to other states a lot, but there's still white labeling going on. There's still, a bunch of re-rocking and everything else, which I'm completely fine with. I don't got an issue. Listen, you run on your marketing and you got your branding, but you're not cultivating and you got your people supplying you, like run up that bag, and you're the grower and you're making your money, like cool. But like, I'm not talking about the guys that are at the top. It's like, it's the middle ground guys that really set the tone in the market and like kind of tell the tone, the pricing, everywhere. And it's like, right now, from what I can tell in Michigan, like $25 is where like a fair eighth sells for consistently to a consumer, and it's like a lot of us, aren't smoking $60, $70 eighths, every day. It's a treat, and it's like, that's a lane, but you put that on a dispensary shelf and it ages out and you got to take it back, or the customer finally buys it and it's old. Like what? So, you're starting to see this stuff get pushed into the regular markets. And listen, there's still heavy motion everywhere, shipping out to the UK or New York or whatever are up to. But, what's the future going to be? Because you're starting to see these local markets get developed super fast and with good product. Like, I mean, it might not be what we would want to smoke in our head stash, but to the average consumer, they're not us. We're the 1%.
I hear it all the time, like how much they like think something is so gas and whatnot. And I realize that it's fire under the budget that they have. And it's like, it doesn't mean that it's like, the best that, they can find. Exactly. So I agree totally. And it's interesting to see, just this going down. And I've been curious about, shipping over UK. We've seen like the THCA 2018 Farm Bill getting wrapped up and like what's going to happen. I think that's going to be a major shift when that November deadline hits, because you're not going to see the Green Door selling weed all over the U.S. again at that point, right? Or if you do, I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you're not supposed to do it now. And like, listen, once again, shout out Hemp Boys, run that bag up. Like, I'm just over here in rec, wasting my life away, But, I don't know, bro. Like just like with our taxes, like, okay, they say you got to pay your taxes, but how are they going to know if you paid them or not? Because it's the Treasury that handles that, not our regulatory agency. So if you tell the Treasury, oh yeah, I don't have any taxes. Okay, when are they going to come audit you? You might survive, like, listen, 2-3 years, and then they audit you, or you get hit with your annual financial statement that we got to do every couple of years. They'll find it then. But even then, okay, we all know what the federal government does. When you don't pay your taxes, they put you on a payment plan. You might not ever intend to pay it, but you're going to pay that minimum to keep moving.
Right. Right.
No one's going to roll over and die.
Right.
Once again, it comes down to bad actor, good actor. And if you're trying to be a good actor and you're paying your taxes, what's the benefit? You're not getting, it's not like you unlock some retail store that's going to pay you, crazy money, or you get some perk to your business that no one else does. No, you're the dummy just paying your taxes.
Yeah, I've been in that situation too, myself and other businesses. And it does feel like you're the dummy fucking playing by the rules while everyone around you is just fucking running it up.
But I mean, usually if you got the money to pay your taxes, that you're healthy in other ways, the brand's going well, your retail partners are well, you're processing, whatever you're doing normally is working out. But, we'll see. I don't know. We don't know like what the hemp, what the farm bill is going to turn into, what this new federal medical thing is going to turn into. we just know if you have good weed and you can produce it at a great price, you should be able to survive. You know, that's what we focus on, is like building a true customer base, a real following, real product, you know, having fun with it. You know, we don't want to burn out. You know, we try to just keep it, you know, we're serious about it, but you got to keep it fun. And, you know, we got a great team behind us to allow us to be on this podcast. You know, someone's working today to grow. You know, I'm on this podcast.
Shout out to the team.
Shout out to the team at HyTeK for sure.
Hell
but
yeah.
you know, we'll see. And I think the biggest thing is, you know, for us, it's like, if you got the right product, you know, unless just something catastrophic happens to the industry, which I don't think, and I could be wrong, I don't think they're going to do, but I've been wrong before. You know, you should be able to still keep moving.
That's what we focus on, just doing the right move, making the right moves so that the longevity's there. You know, it's like, if we don't make it, this whole industry in Michigan's fucked.
Yeah. I mean, build partnerships, you know, not getting over leveraged with debt. You know, this is all stuff that you see sink these guys, you know, getting too big, too deep with employees. You know, people start to not pay attention or worry about other stuff. You got to stay focused, but you also got to stay growing and looking at other things, you know, but you can't lose track of what, you know, the nucleus of the business is.
Yeah, keep your eye on the prize and make sure it's fire, right? Maybe, you know, you're always good as your best batch or your last batch. Well, look, man, you're also in a unique position right now where you joined into the high rollers, and you wanted to compete, and then all of a sudden you see someone in the high rollers, you know, talk about, you know, how, you know, Be Easy coming out saying that it's taxed, and like, how do you feel about, you know, the different price points in PSL, and, you know, when you saw all that, did it make you feel any type of way?
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak on that. I'm in that chat. Tyler, he knows about what happened. He can weigh in too, but listen, first off, every man's entitled to their own opinion. You know, I think, you know, Adam and Paul, you know, I'll speak for those guys, you know, because I think I know where they stand. They want to do something different, something fun, something unique. It costs a lot of money. You know, what they're doing is, you know, kind of different than what's been done in the past. And from what I can sense in the conversation, you know, I'm not trying to air out, you know, anything that no one doesn't know, but you know, there was just a disagreement between where the money should go and shouldn't go. But at the end of the day, if these guys are like, listen, we want to offer this event up to be unique in this certain way, you know, like you know, like the Academy Awards or you know, something that's very high end or prestigious once a year, whatever that might be, you know, the NFL, you know, draft or ESPYs or whatever this is, you know, It could become, you know, cool. Like, you know, for us to throw down the bread, you know, I understand I'm a business owner, you know, a lot of people, you know, listening are, you know, I could have done $10,000, something different with that $10,000, but I think to be a part of the Proper Smoke Network, you know, at our stage in our business, you know, to try to compete and get some notoriety and have fun. It's more just fun with our friends. The way I look at it, it's kind of like the WWE, you know, like we're all big time wrestlers with our own personalities, having fun, you know, hitting each other with tables and razor wire. Yeah. But backstage, you know, we'll all probably crack a beer with each other. Of course, you know, maybe there's some altercations, you know, when you have too many beers or too many smokes or whatever. But like, you know, we all got the same thing in mind, but we're all playing to help each other make money, right?
Right.
But, you know, I think there's other angles that business owners can take, you know, than the quote unquote weed nerd angle, you know, like the smokability. There's plenty of packs every day that get sold for top dollar that don't smoke. So like there's a million lanes to make money. Like you don't have to just be a part of the Proper Smoke Network or, you know, there's a million ways. So I think, you know, with what, you know, some people dropping out or whatever, their perception of where they want to spend their money, that's on them. And, you know, we're supporting, you know, still and having fun with it. Nice. Is it the only lane to make money? Absolutely not, you know? So we'll see, you know, we don't necessarily, you know, need to be a part of the network to, you know, do it, but like, it's fun, you know, we met a lot of great people out there through it. And for me, it's exciting for our team. You know, it's kind of like there's a point to the work, right? It's like, it would be like practicing all the time and never getting to go and play a game, you know? Does it matter what you guys on a screen think of our weed at the end of the day? Ultimately, no, but it's fun. So like, you know, if I have the money and we budget it and, you know, it makes sense, we do it, you know, and we're trying to create maybe a wave with that new cut, that new genetic. And, you know, at the time we had a good batch, we smoked it. I said, I think it's competition worthy. It's different. You know, there's 3 different kinds of weed, right?
Let's talk about it.
You know, you got rec weed, you know, which is going to be stuff that's boring to you and I.
Yeah.
You know, potentially you got competition weed, you know, PSL weed, and like, you know, and then you got, you know, I would say like trap packs that look really good, blow okay, you know, like it's more like rec weed. But you know, there's levels to everything. And like what you see some of these flavors coming down, winning these competitions, they wouldn't stand a chance in someone's trap, you know, depending on how they're angling their trap. They wouldn't stand a chance on a rec shelf, like, you know, especially here in
Vice
Michigan.
versa.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not a one size fit all type equation again, you know? So
Totally.
we try to like hit all three because we're running a business, you know, that we have customers that come into town or, you know, are from other states that like good weed. So we have to be able to, you know, cater to that person. Also, we got someone who just got off work, has 3 kids, a wife, you know, it's only allotted, you know, maybe 40 to 60 bucks a week to smoke. They want to go grab a couple eighths. We're here for that person, you know. We're here for the person that, you know, wants to come up from out of state and grab a bunch of weed from a store and take it back wherever. And they want to have some cool branding behind it and it smokes. That helps them. But to say like wherever they're taking it, does that person care who's buying it and understand what good smoke is? I don't know. I don't think so. They just want the effect, you know? So
yeah, it seems like there's a lot of levels to consumption. Tyler, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of a quiet dude. So to me, my angle on it would be is like, look, if you don't like how they're running it, don't participate. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, at the end of the day, Adam and Paul to me have helped elevate my QC game. Like I have learned things watching these guys smoke on how to pick up on these little things I never even really noticed before, you know? So I got a lot of love for what those guys do. I think it's cool. It's definitely unique. And at the end of the day, you can't expect these guys to be, you know, run a charity, you know, I mean, they pay too. So I'd imagine just like any business, as they get their thing going, they're going to figure out little things that, hey, maybe we misstepped on this or whatever and keep fine tuning. But, you know, I think what they're doing is great. And I think it's insane that we even get to be on the same stage as like these guys. A lot of these dudes I've been looking up to for years, you know what I mean?
That's cool, man.
So to be able to hear what some connoisseurs think about the work that we're putting out, that I think is really good, but you know, let's see how it compares to everybody else who's also doing really good. That's proven, you know?
Yeah. Nice. I do. I kind of compared it to a sense of, you know, there's no player that's bigger than the program. You know what I mean? And I think that, you know, you guys, the camaraderie that we're seeing with PSL, I think it's lifting everybody up and bringing more awareness to everybody involved. And, you know, even if at the grand scheme of things, I see people out there make comments like, oh, it's just marketing. And it's like, oh, it's just like, you know, a circle jerk. It's like, no, man, like at the end of the day, it's like, this is a movement. Right. It's a movement that like we are trying to, with people who give a fuck about the cannabis industry enough to continue to try to figure out how to produce the best of the best. Yeah, this is that group. And I think that it's really great because you see, like we just talked about, a lot of commercial weed is fucking, it's not it. So where does people like us, where can we kick it? And PSL's giving that.
You got to think as these guys move through all these little brands and different brands that come up and want to be, because, you know, to enter a regular bracket, you can just be Joe Schmo, throw your 420 bucks up and like, listen, I respect that because you got something smoking. I want to try to I want to smoke it or I want to see it or like talk to you about what you're doing or what is it, you know, like.
Well, it's been kind of fun to see like a lot of brands, especially like smaller guys, you know, they're like, I'm craft, and I get 300 bucks an ounce for my weed. And then they go up against a guy
KO'd
and get smoked, you know? So it's like, it's fun to see like how many brands and how many people with big mouths don't participate. And it's like, you know, you really can't, you can't get beat by the big guy who's selling $25 eights, you know?
Facts. Yep, a great point. Is there anyone out there that, in a sense, with that, where you wish that they would join PSL? So like you'd be like, "Yo, what's up, man? You chopping it up?" But I mean, not even on a negative, but on a positive. Just anybody out there that you would like to see your flowers side by side.
Brands here that don't participate in competitions, but you know, a lot of these brands, you know, have been doing whether it's rosin or flower way before us. So you know, we'll always give the respect where it's due. And like, yeah, I mean. You know, we got rosin competitions out here, like 7-10 doesn't participate. Now, why they don't, I don't know. Like, you know, I don't think they're scared. I mean, they got fire, you know, they got nice jars too. But, you know, we got, you know, shout out Fear Booth, you know, Jake and them and Hondo over there. They don't participate in a lot of competitions, you know, but, you know, that's not their style. So, like, would it be fun to compete with everyone? Sure. But, you know, there's just not some people like that's not their lane, you know, they're just like, I grow this way and I got great product and this is how I market it. And you know, I'll be over here, you know, you're more than welcome. Like we support these brands at our retail, you know. They're great, you know, players in the Michigan markets, but would we like to compete with them? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's up to them if they want to join, you know. So it's just a different type of you know, it's different, you know. Even a lot of the caregivers out here, they don't realize, you know, when you're on the metric shelf, you know, it's not a lot of packs that people ship every day, you know, just disappear into the abyss, you know, in the caregiver markets allegedly. But like once you're on a shelf and someone could leave their house and go get your bag right now here because you got a drop list and they want to judge you, it's a whole nother feeling when you let your nuts hang, you know, and like you got to manage that inventory. They're going to judge you off that bag and metrics trash and this and that, you know, and like a lot of times they're not wrong. So, you know, you can't sit here and say this or that. Like ultimately the best weed is always going to be the fresh, you know, cut weed potentially, but like, you know, it's hard to get your hands on. There's a little more regulation that you got to jump through, but it's not impossible. And I think it's, you know, you just got to make sure that, you know, you're watching your inventory levels and your batches and that you're putting out what people want. And like, unfortunately, it is test result driven and rec, you know, it is this, it is that. So a lot of times you can get a better bag, you know, in a fresher bag in the trap to your doorstep a little quicker, but is it better? You know, that's not for me to decide, you know. And I kind of back to the Popper Smoke Network, like everyone that they, you know, every competition, there's a winner and a loser. Well, the losers go home. How do you think they're going to feel about Adam and Paul? They're probably not going to like them, right? Because everyone, it's like being the best in your high school and then you go play college football. Like you're not the best anymore, you know? So,
right. So yeah,
you know,
I
a lot
feel
of these
that.
guys might not have the understanding of what is good, what is bad. Maybe they've just been getting glazed or gassed up for, you know, you don't know. But listen, if they're getting the motion, they get what they want. Like, God bless them.
No, I appreciate your opinions on that too, because I look at it like, yeah, like, you know, this is just giving some, you know, I think it's the biggest competition that we see in cannabis today is the PSL. And I know that there's others out there like ZA Olympics that is like, you know, they've got a huge name and much love to them. But I think that, you know, with what PSL is doing with these brackets and then putting together a, you know, a $10,000 entry type bracket, that's letting your nuts hang. Right.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have some damn fucking confidence in your flower to come up and compete. And they've got, you know, the best of the best out there competing. And I know that that was something that you mentioned at the press conference about, you know, wanting to compete against like, you know, proper or preferred gardens and whatnot and Dave and then going up against now Ball family. Like, you know, you talked about like, yeah, you want to be a part of it. So I appreciate you being a part of it, my man. I'm looking forward to seeing how you do. Definitely got a chance to check out the sour melons, which you're entering while we're at that event, and fucking, you know, it was definitely in the nostrils.
What's your thought? Yeah, it's like, you know, we'll see. Like, I think it's different. You know, I don't know, in a couple years when we really get this pheno hunt facility rolling and some, you know, breeding going, it'll be, you know, we're always going to get better. So the one thing you can count on from us is we'll be better tomorrow than we are today, next year than we are now. So we're just getting started, you know. We're excited. It's fun.
Yeah. Are you guys are gonna be active with the Bring Your Best? Is that
Oh yeah. We're in both boxes. I think the judging is starting to roll in. So, you know, we obviously shout out Exotic Matter, you know, Ty DeCour out here. I think he was just out there, you know, with you guys.
Yeah.
Matter's moving out into those the desert markets, which is
he's out here in Arizona.
You know, but yeah, we're heavily involved with that. We're going to be putting up the High Mart. We got this little High Mart thing we do potentially with some T-shirts and some giveaways there. But we're in the rosin, the flower box. I know the proper boys are coming into town for some stuff, and they're going through those boxes currently too. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top of both those competitions.
Yeah, I'm coming out there too, so I'll be out there myself. Yeah, I was like, I saw that, and I was like, oh shit, man, I gotta make it out there. So
yeah, we got to bring you through the grow. I mean, we're 15 minutes from the airport. We're in Detroit proper, so I'm sure you'll be staying. The event's in Detroit, so you'll be somewhere there. We'll definitely link up.
Fire, love that, my man. Well, before we get out of here, I'll open it up to the chat, and then you know, throw out some information on people out there watching. If there's anything that you ultimately want them to know about HyTeK, you know, what are some final comments out there for people out there who are tuning in, learning about you guys today?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, we're just doing the thing, man, trying to put out super fire weed, trying to do it consistently. I mean, we drop batches every single week. You know, we got a 36 light room every 7 days comes down. Constantly dialing, you know, trying to make sure every week it's just as good as the week before. We're trying to get really that, you know, that batch to batch variability is where I'm just obsessed, you know. I think it necessarily has to be a thing. It's just trying to figure out what are all those variables to execute every single week, you know, and I think we just keep getting better and better at that. So goal for us is, you know, no matter what it is, it could be down to the pre-roll or anything, every gram that hits that shelf, anybody can grab anything at any time and it's blowing, you know. I think for the most part, we're getting really, really close to that, you know. So for the people out there who haven't experienced us, you know, give us a shot. I promise you won't be disappointed. Yeah, we're going to keep it going with the seed hunting and eventual breeding. Really stoked on that. That just got going here a couple of months ago. So we're just getting into the first flower runs on that. And, yeah, man.
Yeah.
What you got from Chocolate?
Yeah, you know, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's tuned in. You know, the haters out there watching silently, you know, fuck you. People that fuck with us, good to see everyone.
Yo!
But yeah, we got some great new flavors coming this spring. We got to look out for the sour melons, the deep blue Z. We got some other ones that are running through R&D. Some new concentrates coming. We're always looking to get better. You know, whether it's our 1 gram rec pre-roll that's in a cone that, you know, we would look at and be like, that might not be for us because we're going to roll up a whole eighth, but you know, that we still take serious. You know, just want to say thank you to everyone, you know, whoever's watching, and you know, we're always you know, trying to bring the flavor, the full package to the consumer and figure it out, man. We're all trying to figure this out, how to get to a person, you know. Shout out Refinery Retail Michigan, you know, that's our retailers. All our retail partners out there, you know, Jars, King of Buds, House of Dank, Puff, you know, Nature's Remedy here in Fern on the corner, you know, 5 Buds up north, Elevated, all the towns, New Buffalo, Monroe, Happy Days, just everyone that supports us, you know, the consumers, you know, even the competitors in the PSL, you know, a lot of those guys we've looked up to since the forum days. We're out there with Roach and Juice out there when we made our trip, and it's like, you know, we are the new, you know, we're the young player that just, you know, got drafted, and, you know, we're on the team, and, you know, you got industry vets, and you got to, you know, you don't got to suck people's dicks, but like, you got to show respect. And, you know, now, you know, it's funny when you see guys try to first come up, and, you know, everyone's guilty of it. You know, they're ready to go. They think they're ready. You know, they go out there in the game and just get made look stupid. So it's like, you know, we just make sure we're always prepared that, you know, we are smoking, you know, we you know, we're just part of the community, you know, we're not, you know, we're respectful. People have come before us and done a lot of shit. People have done a lot of things that, you know, we're just doing, you know, so, you know, always being respectful, but at the same time, you know, cutting our own lane and trying to bring different flavors. And, you know, we, you know, as a whole culture here in Michigan, you know, I think, you know, in 2 to 5 years, it'll look completely different than it did, you know, this year. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, a lot of people in the chat saying, let's go Chocolate, shouting out to HyTeK. They saying, look at, new to high rollers, but not new to this. About to come in here and make some motherfucking noise, guys. I'm rooting for you guys out there. Have you been told when your battle is?
I don't know. I know there was some family issues last night, so we had to cancel a duel. You know, we're just playing it by ear with Adam and Paul. But you know, I know we drew Drew in the first round at Green Dog and his team. They're monsters over there. So, you know, we'll see if we can get a little, you know, shout out those guys. I think he's entered the toad or the frog, whatever he's calling it. So I seen the match at the event. It's blowing. It'll be like he said, a civil war. So
there we go. Nice. Yeah.
It's all fun. I mean, do I want to move on? Yeah. But like at the end of the day, I mean, like it's just fun to do, you know?
Yeah. No, showing love, man, and building it. I appreciate you guys, man. You're really helping PSL build, and I think it's a group effort. And let's get it, right? Lots of competition, lots of good times to be had. Man, appreciate you guys popping in and
I appreciate you inviting us. You know, it's very nice to meet you at that show for the first time. I've heard a lot about you, you know, from Ty and these guys, and like you just seem like the real smoker. You know, that's why it's easy for us to come on here and do this stuff, because there's no there's no script, you know. I
No.
didn't prepare for this, you know, you
Yeah.
didn't.
Nope.
It's just we care about it. So it's always cool to meet another homie that's on the same level and just out here trying to just, you know, have some fun with it, make some money with it, and smoke weed, you
You know what I
know.
mean? I
Yeah.
love it. Smoking weed on the internet. We
Yeah.
can do this now. Let's go. You know, so yeah, man, no
Yeah.
problem. And make sure that if there's ever anything you guys got going on that you want to discuss, if you see something pop off in the scene that you want to get your opinion out, I really want to make TMW that spot where we all get together and what's happening around cannabis in the globe. You know, we have our water cooler moment here where we could chop it up and just be real about it.
Yeah, 100%.
awesome.
And being real is the key. You know, I think a lot of people, how's this, how's that? You know, oh, it's fire, it's fire. Like, is it? And I think this is the hard thing because not everyone takes the criticism the right way. They'll run away or they get mad. So it's like, I'd love to review weed here in Michigan, but I'm a brand and I'm a retailer. So, you know, if I start speaking my mind, you know, and it's batch to batch, you know, you can't throw rocks in a glass house, right? We all have different batches. You know, someone can probably go pull a bag of mine somewhere in Michigan that's old and judge me on it, right? And
Right.
we're not going to sit here and throw rocks in a glass house, act like we're perfect, but you know, you're never going to catch us not trying to be. So, you know, we respect, you know, everyone out there on any level. You know, if you're trying to do the right thing and not be slimy and grimy and you're putting out fire, like come join the
And
club.
let's
You know?
smoke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I love it. The passion comes out, and the all of the circles that we've had throughout this entire time, even when it was illegal. It's like, you know, we're finding those, you know, inside of the rec world too, and I feel like that's what PSL is doing, and you guys now being a part of it, breaking it down, man. Again, too, thank you so much for your insight on what's going on with reschedule because you guys are in it, and I'm out here on the outside. It's history. So
Yeah.
appreciate it, man. And definitely,
Yeah.
if you could keep us in tune with what you guys decide.
Yeah, 100%, bro. We'll jump back on and I'll see you in like a week or two.
Yeah, I'll be out there on the 12th.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see you out here.
Marijuana, you guys. Appreciate
Hey,
you.
we got to shoot one out here.
I'm down. I know. I'm bringing the backpack. Actually, I'm living that bitch up the whole time. Let's get it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll shoot one.
Fire,
Cool, bro.
fire. All right,
Have
then,
a good
guys.
day.
You enjoy.
Thank you.
Marijuana right there is HyTeK. Give it up to Chocolate and Tyler. Answering all the questions. That's the thing, right? I'll ask the questions. But
Yeah, I'm just
will they answer?
Don't kill the messenger.
Yeah, nice. Right there, the guys. Appreciate you guys. Marijuana to you. What'd you guys think? Right? We had the opportunity. Another talented group of individuals out there growing some fire ass weed. Man, I smelt that sour lemons. I mean, yeah, I know it's fire. Right? Come on, man. I'm gonna get to smoke some as soon as Paul out there hooks your boy up with a little click of a buck. Paul, I'll roll it up right. Marijuana though, appreciate everybody chopping up today. I got about what's the episode scheduled today? Adam, are you still in here? You guys popping on at 11:30? Because if you're popping on at 11:30, that means I got 10 minutes to light this blunt. Let's go. Hey, appreciate that, Mario. Thank you so much. Ronan in the building. Appreciate you. Jason, eggs in the chat. Lets me know you fucking with me, so thank you so much. Yeah, we touched on some topics. This weekend was wild, right? This weekend was a wild one for those around and curious and watching PSL Network and the community that's around it. Wow. To be honest, when I first heard of Be Easy, I thought that was Be Real until I saw No way, man. Be Real's Be Real, bro. That's just Gotti versus Burning Rope at 4:20. It's going down. That means I got time to smoke this blunt with you. I have a guest all week. We have guests all week. Tomorrow. Oh, shit. I love this network. I love this network. From go to go, baby. We just talking to people out there living it to the fullest, right? HyTeK out there in Michigan doing the motherfucking thing. Tomorrow, we've got Cali Plug, right? The complete opposite in a sense of strategy, where they're at with it. Cali Plug's out here popping out gram jars outside of fucking, where was he in Texas? Wildin'. out there doing things. Gonna join tomorrow on the Morning Wood, Cali Plug right here, and we can discuss what's going on with Cali Plug. That shit's gonna be lit. Oh, God damn it. Let the fucking weed go out. Let me smoke some weed with you guys. I did that whole ass interview without smoking a blunt. That was random. How you doing? Let's start our week off right.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got.
Mario said he didn't want to see Cali.
From all your worries, sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away?
I got comments on that. Hold on 1 second though.
All those nights when you've got no lights, the check is in the mail.
I'm invoice rich.
And your little angel hung the cat up by its tail. And your third fiance didn't show.
Look. That's all right.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Shout out to Ganja and Guns, Foul Bundy.
And they're always glad you came.
Trey 8 the Great, what's good?
Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same.
Bunch of boom.
Wanna be where everybody knows your name.
That is right, and we know your name here on the Morning Wood, so thank you for popping in here. Let's go. Let's go. Did you see all that action, Adam? Did you see that action, Adam? You see I had the fucking mouse, I had to click this. We're gonna get Adam on over here to doing some OBS, right? OBS. We're gonna get I'm gonna take a trip out there. And we're going to have these guys able to just fuck around on the internet here pretty quickly. Proper, though, yes. Absolutely bringing the backpack out to Michigan. So it's squad shit. I told Proper Doinks, like, we can plug in the backpack to broadcast on their channel. And I'll just I'll be cameraman for these guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm down, right? Squad. But I will be livening it up and taking some trips as well. I want to do So I do a podcast also called High in Arizona, and so like we're talking about doing a High in Michigan style, and then obviously TMW going to be lighting it up. I'm going to be with the best of, or bring your best, and just kicking it, giving you guys just a firsthand look. We need to switch over ASAP. Yes. I think you guys will really love the freedom, my dude, because you guys talk about so much topics. To be able to bring them up on the screen, boom, and just the freedom with it. Floraflex is going out of business, and I have to re-up on nudes. Floraflex is going out of business. What? That was actually that's who I had prior to HGV motherfucking coming in and sponsoring the pod, baby. Yeah. So damn. Oh shit. Thank you for bringing that up. Look, man, like, respect so much to Boston Clone Co., right? Mad respect, because they're down to give whoever the fuck wants to be in this grow along some fucking toad venom. What? But I said time out, man. Like, I respect what that is, right? And we want to, he's still down, but I think we need to do a competition style where, you know, the people who are really interested in grabbing that cut, we need to see if you even can grow that cut, right? So what I'm thinking is we have Boston Clone Co. send out a different cut, one that we can fucking send out to anybody that wants to ball out with us, right? Let's send out a cut that we just know anybody out there. I had so many people hitting me up talking about what's up with this competition because of the toad venom, right? And that's not what it was about. We were just doing this shit as like the squad, my yokes. You know what I'm saying? We were doing this as a squad thing, as appreciation to you guys being a part of the Morning Wood. And I just wanted to try to make sure that we protect, I don't know, I don't know. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay. So anybody that wants to join, we're going to bring up this list. I'll do it tomorrow and we'll pick out a strain and Boston Seacoast is going to send it out to anybody that wants to be involved. They're going to send it out to me. I'm popping it in the tent, and HGV is going to be my newt. SirHIGH Improper will judge? Absolutely. You already know if there's blunts being smoked and judged, then if we don't have Improper, is it even real? Right? Like, that'd be crazy. So, yeah, no, like... Improper is the blunt goat over here, and always respect to the goats. So it was tight kicking it with him. But that would be fun. I don't know how we would be able to do it, though. Obviously, I'm in Arizona. He's in Cali. But we figure it out. We figure it out. Nice. Bunch of bull. I appreciate that. How's your equipment coming along? Well, Mario, it's like I appreciate the opportunity on what that was obviously going to do, right? Like, yeah, there was a lot of people hitting me up about it that I had no idea were watching TMW and Type Energy. And I was like, oh, shit. They were asking me questions about it. I was like, well, you didn't even watch, did you? Like, what's up, man? What's up, I'm like, well, motherfucker. Tent comes in tomorrow, dope. So I appreciate that opportunity, but I was also like, man, I know what Toad Venom currently is like getting out there Type Energy, right? So it's like, damn, dog, to have you send out 100 fucking clones for free? Woo! I gotta be out there. I gotta have fucking Boston Clone Co. just like right here. Like the whole fucking logo and oh shit. What medium you gonna grow in? Likely tuper. Talk to me. Now this is what excites me about growing with you guys, because I know you're gonna have your opinions. Because I know this community has some growers. So I'm growing with tuper. Go ahead and give it to me. What are you going to say about it? I'm going for the tuper. No comments? All right, then. Nice. It must be a win. It must be a win. I'm finna buy a bale of Pro Mix. Oh, shit. A bale, he said. God. He said, I ain't running out. Juan, fantastic, man. Crazy weekend. Shout out, big shouts out to Adam and Lance, by the way. You know, when I joined PSN, it was because I recognized that they are fucking cooking. They know what to do to fucking spread. And I've never been able to figure that shit out. I've been smoking weed on the fucking internet for damn near 5 years now. And y'all didn't even know that, huh? You didn't know it? PSN, Lance, Adam have given me some tools out there and helping me build. And it's fucking love. So shout out to those two. Shout out to them putting this together. Definitely mad respect to them. And I ain't never had no goddamn clip get 80 fucking thousand views in my life. I'm gonna tell you, goddamn, I saw that shit. I said, what? Oh shit, I'm fucking refreshing the page like every single time, man. Fucking that shit was crazy this weekend. So I'm having fun on PSN. I tell you what, good times, man. Talking to a national audience of weed smokers, baby. Let's go. Ganja and weed says, but it's hard to kill a weed, just not easy to make it. I agree. It's easy to grow weed. I'll say that. I'm gonna say it. But it ain't. It's fucking goddamn rocket science growing space weed. It's some rocket science. I imagine that Ooh, man, if you can compare the what you need, I bet our fucking best growers are rocket scientists. I'm gonna fucking say it. Hey, Cloud Mav, I don't know how to hit you. I wanted to hit you up since our last conversation, but I don't know where to hit you up. I realized that. I was like searching Cloud Mav. I was like, I don't know where she's at. Fuck. Where's Rice? Rice rolls out there getting stoned right now. I just know it. Jimtown 2.0. Cheers. Cheers. Dab and toad venom sauce. Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's talk about what you guys are smoking real quick, please. I need to know what you're inhaling. Please. It's important to me. It really is, man, because we talk about these strains that we talk about, right? Are you smoking them? What are you smoking? Are you able to cross over? You watch PSL, you watch PSN. Are you actively out there seeking these strains? I know the proper doink effect is real because we've talked to too many damn people that are like, holy shit. It ain't real until it's in them Grove bags. Did you hear the conversation yesterday when Adam and Paul were talking about Grove bags? I'm pretty confident it was those two, man. I had a fucking blur of a weekend because it was a homie's birthday. Went back to back like I'm in my fucking 20s and shit. I don't know what I was thinking. So yeah, it's a little bit of blur. But I remember replaying their episode and they were talking about how, and I thought this was an interesting point with it, is that the Grove bags, you want to make sure that you put it in there at a certain water weight is what I picked up. Have you guys had that discussion already? Juan said, skunky, no lies. Told I got a vape at the crib. He got a vape at the crib. Testing 11.4. Suspect. That sounds suspect. Ganja and guns. I smoke what I grow, motherfucker. Shit. And what I got, what I get sent, don't really buy much weed unless to try something crazy. So what was the last weed you tried? What was the last marijuanas that you were like, what? I'm going to get me some Becky. I'm going to get me some Becky. What up, Peace Man? How you doing? Environment, genetics, and nutrients. Most important things in growing. Not the grower. Not the person. AI can do it? Oh, no. Bunch of Bull, I enjoy it. Little Z heavy, but I haven't had a good Z in a little bit. Which one are you talking about, Bunch? Which one are you talking about, doggy? Versace crosses. This is a Versace cross. I'm smoking the Medusa right now. It's tasty. Yo, you guys want to hear some shit? You want to know why I missed Friday? You guys want to know why I missed Friday? I'll tell you guys, man. I always keep it buck with you guys. You're my, you know, it's my, keep it 100, man. I'm keep it 100. You guys want to know why I missed Friday? I was shook. I was shook. Put some eggs in the chat if you want to hear why the fuck I missed Friday. Peace, man. Appreciate you. All right, so low-key, I think that my teenage son swiped a fucking jar. About a year ago, I asked my chat out there, I said, when was the first time you smoked weed? Let me ask you, when's the first time you smoked weed, right? Watch some of these answers out there. If you could drop down and bust in chat, the first time you smoked weed, I asked this a year ago, blew my motherfucking mind. Go ahead and let me hear what you guys got. AZ Oil Gang right there says 12. Who else? Come on. I know you guys started smoking at some point. We were all young. A lot of us in here, young, 13. $11, 13, 16. Right? Right? Come on. I got a teenage son. It's happening. He's turned 13 last year. I said, okay. Okay. Fuck. Right? And look at me, man. I'm out here. Obviously, it concerns me because I'm like, fuck, bro. I can't be this dude's fucking, I lock shit up, man. It's fucking Fort Knox in this bitch with it. Like, I got everything in an office. I'm very conscious of what the fuck is going down. This fool, and I know it's got to be him. Because ain't nobody that knows me as an adult is going to swipe a fucking $10,000 award-winning goddamn jar of weed off my goddamn table, but a person who don't know. Right? So I was shooketh. I fucking went all over this house. I had to confirm it. So yeah, little homie getting drug tested when he comes home today. I'm doing it. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if I smoke weed young. I don't care. I ain't down. Z said 42. Goddamn. I don't care. He took the za. So yeah, that shit had me shook, bro. I was just like, cause parenting's a big deal to me. And I've been wondering. We talk about it. We've had the conversation. So I was like, what? That's where I'm at, Jimtown. I tell him there's gonna be a time and a place for everything that he wants to do in life. Period. There's gonna be a time and a place. 13. Let your brain grow, bro. Chill out. And I know that's hypocrite. I know that I was smoking. Not at 12, not at 13, 14. And then I started fucking, at 15, bro, it was over. I'm dedicated pothead. 15 years old, let's go, right? So it's like, I know it's hypocritical. I know it worked out for me. Shit. $1 billion industry out there. It's fine. Things are gonna go great for marijuana. Still, man, no. Now this is the thing, right? Let me want to. So that's where I wasn't. That's why I wasn't here Friday. I had that personal situation go down. He ducked out to his mom's. He lives with me, visits his mom, ever so often. So I said, "Oh, it's." Yep, definitely, man, definitely. Jim, really? Do you think about that, Jim? You think that if you would go back in time, okay, I'll ask that open to the chat. If you would go back in time, would you change when you started smoking weed? Interesting question. I've never considered if I would. You right? I've never considered it because weed has always been the best. That's crazy to think about, though. Hell no, I wouldn't change a thing. Woo. I don't know, man. Kids today, though, man, they start with some fire. When I started smoking weed, it was like fucking Reggie rolling it off a fucking magazine to get the goddamn, seeds. Mario, very honest out there, saying he would wait till he's 25. Knowing what we know now about the brain, that it develops by 25 or at 25. That's what we know now, though, Mario. What if we don't know? We really don't know about marijuana like that. We don't know what benefits it might bring to the brain, right? I know that sounds crazy, but I like to think that let's judge off facts and not bro science, Protect those little brains, Cloud Mav. I agree with you. Yeah. So I'm in this real life situation. I'm like, all right. Shit was lit. Nice. Appreciate you, mister. Mister said also, I wish I wasn't smoking random mids or whatever I could find. Yeah, right there, man. I remember there's a clip going around talking about what it was like, back in the day. And obviously some states still might be like this, where you had to hit your plug and then you just had to wait for them to call back or text back, or, man, when it was at their convenience, whew, things were different. I love weed, though. Props to marijuana. Mustard in the chat for weed. That's how I look at high as fuck. There's a bunch of things that happened all throughout life and shit like that. But if it led me here, like, damn, fuck it. Let me here with you fine folks. Smoking my blunts. Skunky says, if he would have came at you in all honesty and asked what was up with the good herb, but just taking what isn't yours isn't right. Well, we've had the conversation because, like, I don't hide anything. So obviously he knows how we make our money. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fortunate to be in the cannabis world and now as my livelihood, right? It was a goal, and now we're here. I'm in dispensaries. Like, what? Like, go buy my weed at the dispensary, right? So it's like legal, you're eating your food off this, clothing, all coming from cannabis. So, very honest, very transparent, and had the questions with him. And he's, this is where I'm like, are you lying, motherfucker? Are you lying to me right now? Because he'll be like, what? No, none of my friends do anything like that. Like, no, I'm not gonna lie. There's kids in school that I've heard. Like, when I think back to this shit, I'm like, you fucker. He's like, but no, Dad, no. Mm-mm. But there's been like 3 times in my life where I'm like, is my son fucking? So yeah, this is it. Go time. Go time. It's an era in life right now. He's gonna remember this day when he comes home from school. Fuck yeah, he's lying, Mario. It's clicking for me. I'm like, damn it. Damn it, he's playing me. He thinks he's playing me right now. Oh, wow. The Morpheus? I had the side-by-side, bro. He didn't know I was going to do a side-by-side, You don't know. I don't get into detail like my life. He didn't know. Swipe the Morpheus, the side-by-side Morpheus, dog. All allegedly, though, man. This is all allegedly. Like Monopoly money, baby. Yeah. All right. Well, marijuana to you guys. Appreciate you popping in. Tomorrow, an episode. Pop in. Goal is to have a guest every single episode. I want to be sitting down, chopping it up with someone out there in the industry that's doing their damn thing. So join me tomorrow. It's Cali Plug, and we will just engage in more cannabis discussion right over here. I like to end it. Eggs in the chat if you fuck with me. And we will be back tomorrow, my friend. Marijuana, thank you so much. Oh, you're just amazing, right? And you never fail to provide.
Thank you! That's science.